All right, welcome. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to go ahead and design this little kind of crest or wall sign that's going to be cut out on the Plasma CNC machine. So first thing we're going to do is I'm just going to open up VCarve. Go ahead, open up VCarve. I want to click on Create a New File. The job size that we're working with is 16 inches by 16 inches. All right, that's the size of the piece of metal that you're allowed to cut out of. If you want to do something a little bit larger, just go ahead. You can make those adjustments. Um, but 16 by 16 is kind of what I've accounted for us to work with. Once we have that selected, again, all you have to do is select it and type in your dimensions. I did a thickness of 0.1. The thickness of this doesn't really matter. We're really just using this for our vectors. We're going to go ahead and click OK, and that's going to open up all of our tool options. So for our design, the first thing that I want to start out with is I'm actually going to start out with bringing in my image of the star. So I did find that image. Basically, just go ahead, go to Google, find your image, copy it, and then you're going to go ahead and paste that image in. So this image is a fairly small image. It should work out okay, but we'll see how it goes. So with your image selected, what I want to do is turn this from an image into vector lines, basically a line drawing. So I'm going to go over here, and it's the Trace Bitmap tool. I call it, it looks like a little chicken. So you click on that, and it brings you up a couple options. I like to always trace in black and white. It tends to trace the best. The settings should be fine. You're going to go ahead and click your preview, and that's going to bring in, and that's going to go ahead and trace out this image. There are a couple curved lines in here, and I'll show you how to clean those up and make them nice, sharp lines. But this looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and click Apply, and then Close. And then from here, my image is still here. But what I want to do is I actually want to delete that image, so I'm just left with my line drawing. So I can go ahead and press Delete. So if you look, next I want to just clean this image up a little bit. I want to get nice, sharp lines. So over here, under the Edit object, there is Node Editing. And I'm going to select that. Now when I click on this, if you look, there's all these nodes that are here. And I really just want this to be a nice, straight line. So this is looking at it as this is one line, and then it kind of curves a little bit. This is another line. So what I want to do is I actually want to come in here, select it, right-click, and hit Delete. And what this is going to do, what you'll start to see, is this will give me much, much straighter lines. All right, and I just adjusted that one a little bit. So I'm going to delete this one as well. And I'll delete this one also. Now, this is not something that you have to do. I like to do it. It just gives me a much cleaner look and makes everything look a lot cleaner in my opinion. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through this and clean this drawing up, getting rid of some of these nodes. Okay, so now I've cleaned everything up. I've got nice straight lines. You can see each line, it only has 3 nodes, which means each line is going to be nice and straight. So that's what I want that to look like. Nice straight lines. So now that I have that, I'm not going to resize this yet. Next, what I want to do is, if you look at my original image, you can see it's kind of surrounded by a circle, and then the corners are clipped. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So for that, I'm going to use the circle tool, and usually I'll just draw a circle. All right, once it's drawn, I can close that out, and I'm going to look to move that. All right, I can resize it, and again, I'm going to recenter it every time I resize that. All right, I'm going to go a little bit bigger for that. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now that I've got that resized, I need to go ahead and clip all these corners where they're intersecting. So I'm going to go over here and grab the vector trim tool. I call it the pair of scissors. And I'm just going to hover over the lines that I need to trim to remove those. All right, so I made a little mistake there. I just hit Control Z. Okay, and then escape. I can get out of that tool. So here's the start of that star that's going to be on the inside. All right, so from here, I want to just select everything. And I'm going to group this together. So there's a grouping tool right here. So that'll group everything together. So this way it won't get moved around. I can center it on the page. I do want to resize this. So I'm going to make this object 10.5 inches. So set object size. I want to keep my X and Y linked together. And I'm just going to type in 10.5. You can see it changed both of those. I'm going to click apply. And it should still be centered in the page. Just to make sure, I'm going to recenter it. Okay, so that's the start for that circle. All right, that inside circle and star. So this space is going to get cut out. These little pieces are going to get cut out here. This space will all get cut out. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out this outside circle. Now this circle here is 15.75. So I'm giving myself a little bit of room. Okay, so I can grab the circle tool. All right, I'm going to click and drag, and I'm just going to change that diameter to 15.75. Click apply. I can close, and now I want to center this on the page as well. So back to my transform and center that also. All right, so now I'm going to work on my text. There's two ways to do text. I'll show you one, and then I'll show you another way. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add my last name up at the top here. So I'm going to, first thing I want to do is type out my text. So I click on the text tool. I'm going to type that in. All right, I'm going to be using the stencil font. It just makes life a lot easier. I've got a couple different stencil fonts available. I'm going to change this one. I found that the text height of 2 inches works great. And I'm going to go ahead and click apply. And then I can close that out. So what I want to do is I want this to fit this curve here. All right. So I'll show you one way to curve the text, then I'll show you another. So for this here, I want this to be up at the top. So I'm going to move this up to the top. Okay. I do want to center it. All right, so that's going to be nice and centered. All right. So from here, what I want to do is curve this. So I'm going to manually curve this one. So if you look, all right, if I grab, I can curve this text now. So what I'm looking to do is get this to match the curve. All right, and I'm just kind of really just eyeballing it right now. All right, so that's not too bad. All right, this will rotate it around that kind of center. All right, and then this one here will bring it a little bit closer or a little bit further away. So there's a couple different options, and right now it's really just a matter of kind of playing around with this to really get this to um, fit nicely in this curve. What I can also do is adjust the spacing. So if I click, it'll actually tighten up the spacing a little bit. All right, which is kind of neat. Okay, there's actually a way that's a little bit easier than this, and I'm going to go over that next. So that looks pretty good. I think I'll keep that there. Okay, so next I'm going to add family down here at the bottom. Okay, so back to my text tool. All right, I'm going to use the original stencil font. All right, I click apply. I like this font a little bit better, but just to show you guys that you can change the fonts. So now what I want to do is I want to fit this to this curve. So I'm going to push and hold the shift key, and with the name selected, I'm also going to select that curve. Then I'm going to go here and it says wrap text along curve. All right, I'm going to click apply, and you can see it's going to wrap that. So I can adjust the size of it right here. All right, I can adjust the spacing. The spacing's all the way up right now. All right, but again, I'm going to show you how we can still adjust that spacing a little bit more. I kind of actually like that. Fits pretty good. And then I'm going to go in later and adjust the spacing. Play around with some of the settings you can see. So up above the curve, below the curve, on the curve. All right, so there's a couple different options we can do. Offset distance. This will put it a little bit closer. All right. The 0.4 actually fit pretty good. Okay. I click apply and close. So the spacing, if you look, the spacing's a little kind of tight. So I'm going to go back to edit spacing and curves. And now I can adjust the spacing. So if I hold the shift key, it'll space them out a little bit further. And I'm just going to manually do that. All right, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so I've showed you a couple of different ways to add some text. All right, I've showed you the snipping tool. I've shown you everything that's here. Last thing I'm going to show you is how to save. So I haven't saved yet. I should have saved a little bit sooner. But you click the save button. You do want to make sure you save to your H drive. So click on the drop down for this PC. You're going to scroll down to your H drive. All right, and select the name that you want to name this. All right, so this is my sample. All right, I click save. All right, that's been saved to my H drive. On the original, I have the date here, 2002. That's just a matter of adding just straight text. and then I adjusted the size. So that should be a pretty good starting point for everybody. Check back later for some more videos on a couple other things that we can do. Thanks a lot. Good luck.